Happy Sunday, everybody. Michael Arana with Arana Nation here. And first of all, I didn't go to sleep until 3 o'clock at night. I was busy doing a lot of editing and everything. You all know that I went to Ford Fest to encourage, support, stand by our man Doug Ford. And of course, we've had, he's not perfect. I've criticized, I've applauded certain things, criticized certain things. But first of all, he's better than the opposition. But that's not the only reason I support him. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on Ford Fest, and I'm going to say what I think needs to be done going further. But I support him. I feel he's one of the only politicians. I don't know, maybe it's because I've met him so many times. I've spoken to him on the phone. I've met him 3 times now, 4 times actually. And it's almost like as if I almost know him, even though I don't know him. It's almost like it's like we're friends or something like that. It's almost like I have a duty to protect him. Even when he does wrong, I correct him. I'm sometimes I get firm in my criticism, but that's I think if I didn't care, I wouldn't try to. I mean, my criticism would not include suggestions because I know deep down who he is and who his family is. His brother Rob, people person. Many of the people at Ford Fest, that's what they like about him. He's a people person, not a Bay Street Tory, not a globalist Red Tory, a grassroots populist conservative. I don't even like the name Tory. I think that should be abolished. It sounds like an establishment. Tory, that's a disgusting word. But my thoughts on Ford Fest, it was great. Met a lot of you guys, a lot of fans. We were swarmed. I was there with my partners in crime, my crew, my good friends, Brian Malone and Kit Shu. You know, just a big old multiracial posse. A black guy, black Canadian, European Canadian, and Asian Canadian. We forget about all those titles. We're all just Canadian patriots. I don't even use those. I just say, it doesn't matter about your race, color, creed, and all that crap that some of you guys like to bring up. Ultimately, if you believe in the right things, you're a patriot and you're a Canadian if you choose to be. It was a love fest. All different types of people. A lot of black people, a lot of white people, a lot of Indians. In fact, the media is now saying, "Oh, it was just a big old white fest." Honestly, I really first of all, there was a lot of black folk. A lot of black people like Ford still. And secondly, I actually think there was more Asians and blacks there than there were whites. I mean, of course, there's a large number of whites. It was in the country. But I mean, the amount of people there, multiracial, I don't like the word multicultural, it's a bad word. Multiracial people just coming together to support Doug Ford. I mean, it was not a bunch of old white. I mean, there was a lot of young people there too, making noise. I mean, we were there. We were making noise when he was making his speech. We were going, yeah, yeah. We were screaming. We started chants and everything. In fact, I think Ford appreciated that. He likes energy. He doesn't like the sleepy Tories, thinking that it's some kind of tea party or some garden party or some wine and cheese. Some older folk are there. Good golly, those young folk are rather loud. But most people were just like cheering with us. They're like, yeah, this is great. These guys energetic. It was great. It was really great. Down to earth, friendly. But here's what I think needs to be done going further. A lot of Doug Ford's had a lot of criticism lately on the media. A lot of it, the media is actually, for the most part, skewing what he's doing. I mean, they talk about the cuts, which I'm against, but they don't talk about more money going into health and more money going into education. They want to forget that part. They conveniently forget that part. They talk about the cuts. Now, yes, they forget, but there are elements that I do disagree with when it comes to the cuts. But I don't lay that all entirely on Doug Ford. I think that he has a lot of bad advisors. You guys need to understand something. Doug Ford is probably the first down-to-earth, grassroots conservative, I don't even like the word conservative. I prefer populist. Because conservatives have they can all. There's many conservatives who are also a part of the system. I think he's the first populist to lead the party. Mike Harris wasn't a pop. He was a, the party was either run by Red Tories or Bay Street Tories. Both just as bad, just as globalistic, both interested in money and, even if it means sacrificing our way of life, sacrificing our province, sacrificing our country, all for money, reckless free trade deals, globalism, all this sort of stuff, higher taxes, all that sort of stuff. Doug Ford is the first, and so the party has a lot of viruses in it. People who really don't have Doug Ford's interest at heart, and I think maybe he gets a lot of information which makes sense to him at the time, but then it turns out not so good. It's almost like you're reading a cookbook, and it says, to make this cake, you need 2 eggs, milk, sugar, flour, starch, all that stuff, icing. You mix it all together. Something doesn't quite. It seems straightforward when you read it, but then you make it, and it's like it doesn't turn out the way you expect it. Women, you guys know that. You guys get that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what is going on, because there's a lot of people out there who see Doug Ford as a threat, and they say, we can't get him out as a leader, so we're going to trick him, we're going to manipulate the facts, we're going to manipulate things, we're going to tell it to him, explain it, and then he can say yes or no. Makes sense at the time, turns out a lot of it not so good. I think that's what happens, because the party is way bigger than these major parties are so huge. It's almost like if you're not nitpicking and reading every little detail, things will slip by which you don't see. And I'm celebrating the firing or the resignation of his chief of staff, French. I mean, you go there. There are a lot of MPPs there, a lot of people who I know personally who work for the party, who said Dean French was nothing short of a bastard. I mean, this guy is establishment as it comes. He's greedy. He's manipulative. He is unfriendly. He is, it's a bully. I mean, everybody. I'm telling you, people very close. That's what they're telling me. They're telling me. I'm not going to say names, because apparently this guy is kind of, crazy. He's psycho. I'm an independent. I can say that. I don't work for any party. I'll say he's a psycho. And he is manipulating Ford and all this stuff. I mean, he's now even saying, Ford, hire all these people, give them jobs, not telling him that these people are relatives of mine. It's almost like he's using Doug Ford. He thinks he's the premier, not Doug. Doug Ford finds this out. Hey, French, you didn't tell me these people are related to you and that you've taken pictures with them on social media. You make me look like a fool. Get out of my government. You're not working for me anymore. Or maybe he just told him to resign. So that's what I think is going on. There are too many viruses in the PC party, and they need to be rooted out. And I'm calling on Doug Ford to root them out. Now, patriots, fighters, let me tell you, I've got big news. I've been in contact with many of Doug Ford's press people and Doug Ford himself. I've got his phone number. I'm trying to schedule an interview with him, a fair interview, a no-spin interview, a gotcha-free interview, where he can talk about what some of his what he thinks are his accomplishments, what he thinks he could have done better. I want you guys, if I do get the green light, to give me questions. I got faith. I got a bunch of people I've interviewed, so let's hope. But I also want to talk to him about, what are your views on the state of the party today? I mean, I'm sure he'll say it's fine, but I want to go, do you think, many people do have concerns that there are people who are not working in the party's best interest? There are many people in the party who came from the liberals who are in there who still have the liberal mindset. They're just working there because they know the liberals are pretty much finished for now in Ontario. So they need somewhere to go. I mean, they won't go to the NDP, I don't know, but many of them are Martinite liberals who wouldn't really fit in with the liberals, because Martin liberals they're pretty much conservative on economic issues, but social issues, they are really careless and globalist. Globalist on economic issues and social issues. And I've seen proof of that even when we were going into Ford Fest. I'll tell you guys a story. You guys need to listen to me. And I'll tell Doug Ford about this, because I don't think he'll be too happy. As we were entering Ford Fest, everything was on video and everything, because I knew, this was wrong. A party stooge, some young guy, some little squirrely jerk. My friend had a Faith Goldie shirt on. Now I know she's a bit controversial, but you know what? Well, not the PC party prides itself on political correctness. They're the conservatives. The others. And he's there to my friend in public, and this is the Asian Canadian friend. He has the Faith shirt on, and the guy's like, "You take that shirt off, put this on." Now it was a Ford Fest shirt. It was a great looking shirt. I mean, I would wear it, but that's not the point. The point is he's trying to stifle the freedom of speech. Take this off. My friend and I politely asked, "Why do you want him to take it off?" And he's like, "Just do as I say." Like some Gestapo. Do as I say. Do it like a big power trip. And I'm like, why? You have to say why. And he's like, "Thank you for doing it. Thank you for doing it." And he's like, "Oh, you're not going to do it? Okay. Okay." He turns around and walks away. Now, is he expecting my friend to take off his shirt in public in the middle with women watching, children watching, and put on a shirt? I mean, you didn't even offer a place where you could go change. And you're not asking why. That was reckless, rude. I know Ford would not stand for that. I know it. And so we go in, and the guards, who are PC people, they pull they pull him aside, the guy with the Faith shirt, my friend, and say, "Stay right here." And we're like, "Why are you pulling him aside?" He's like, "Just do what we say," I said. It was a different guy. And I said, "Well, I'm going to stay with him." And my friend Brian also wanted to stay because I told him he could go on, but he says, "No, I'm going to stay here. We patriots, we stick together." And we wait for about 10 minutes. I have the recorder on. And all of a sudden, my friend, he snaps. He says, "Look, I'm hungry. I want to go in the fest. You're having us staying here like this. I mean, you're not giving us any information." And finally, I say, "This is recording to the guys." And he's like, "Okay, you know what?" And then he calls someone over who says, "The media will attack us if they see you with the Faith shirt on. They'll attack us." And I say, since we appease the media, you think they're going to thank you for telling three patriots to take off, or this patriot Asian Canadian to take off his shirt in public? They're not going to thank you for that. They're still going to attack you same way. Eventually, we took it off, but I have the recording, and I want to show it to Doug. I've told him about it. I haven't heard back yet. We'll see what happens. But, these are the things that I think need to be stopped. These are the type of people that need to be rooted out because they don't have the party's interest at heart. They don't have Ford's interest at heart. These are party viruses. I don't know whether they were brought in from the Brown era or the Tory era or whatever, but these are not Ford people. Definitely not. These are people who are media appeasers, who want to try and transform the party, get rid of the grassroots, get rid of the populace, scare them away. If we were to have stood our ground, they would have thrown us out like dogs. The police throw us out. They even threatened my friend. We've got more guards if you guys don't do as we say. Like this is Nazi Germany or something. They would have just thrown us out. They would have thrown as many patriots out and leave the few sleepy Tories and the Red Tories and the Bay Street Tories could have stayed there. That's what their goal was. I even had a Trump shirt on, and before I was going to go take my picture with the premier, they're like, "You have a jacket. Could you please zip this up?" I say, "Okay, fine. I'll just do it because, listen, if this thing continues, I'll show all these videos. I'll show the recordings, and people aren't going to be happy about it. This is garbage." So, Doug Ford, you need to get rid of these people. They don't have your interest at heart. Get in people. I'm not saying you have to bring me in, but I have a lot of suggestions, and I know that I have your best interest at heart. You know that. Bring in people, grassroots people, people who worked with your brother. Many may be controversial, but you know what? The people, not the media, but the people, they're not as one-sided and as closed-minded as the media is. I guarantee you, I live amongst the people. I told those party people that I live amongst the people. I talk to people who never cared about politics a day in their life. In fact, I would say most people who are not interested in politics, the independents, the silent majority, they love Ford. They may not agree with everything, same as me, but they love him. But I know that many of the people on the inside are the problem, not Ford himself. He is for the people. I've seen his record. It speaks volumes, as does his brother. So hopefully Ford will get back to me. For now, this is the Arana Nation. I am hopeful, though.